Hey guys, AJ from Fork and Hose Company here on National Fire Radio. Today I've got a very special guest. I've got my paisan, Alex Callegari.
What's going on, AJ?
Thank you for coming on, Alex. You've been submitting meals and recipes to Fork and Hose Company for a couple of years now, at least.
Absolutely.
And everything that you put out is phenomenal.
Thank you.
I know you used to, your handle was the Fireman Chef.
The Firefighter Foodie for a while.
Firefighter Foodie, right. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay. Fireman Chef is out of California.
Yeah, but you change it now. It's at Alex Callegari.
Yeah.
_ I think, right?
Correct. Yes.
All right. And where are you from, Alex? Give the viewers a little rundown on yourself.
A quick rundown is my family immigrated from Italy. I got here when I was 5 to Miami, where I grew up. And typical Italians, what do? We open up a restaurant.
Wow.
So I grew up in the child no labor laws. Grew up working the kitchen from when I was a little kid, man. Washing pots and pans.
And this was an Italian restaurant?
It was.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was a small, it wasn't nothing fancy,
Doesn't have to be.
It was a red sauce restaurant. And,
nice.
At 18, I remember just being like, I hate this place. I hate cooking.
Right.
I hate the restaurant business. I told my dad, I was the youngest of 4. I'm like, I'm leaving. I will never cook again, And he was like, I can't believe, I want to get a restaurant. I'm like, no, that's a curse,
And now look at you.
And now look at me, so.
You're making like a second career out of cooking, basically, right?
Yeah, well, I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with it, and it's
right.
an interesting ride for me.
And how long you've been on the job?
15 years.
15 years, and you're with Boca Raton Fire, correct?
Correct, yeah.
I can't help but tell you, every time I hear Boca Raton, I don't know if you watch Seinfeld, but I hear Del Boca Vista.
Yes.
I don't know if that was in Boca Raton or if that was like a play on, words or whatever, but I hear Boca Raton and I think of all of the Del Boca Vista episodes.
Yes, that is, I think it's pretty much spot on,
Pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's grown a little bit since then.
Right.
And
is it a big job or is it, a small job?
You mean an apartment?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I got a virgin margarita.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
My Yeti.
I got a non-virgin beer, local, semi-local.
We're doing a Latin food theme, so I want the virgin margarita.
See, that's
so we have
that's the true chef right there. You're thinking ahead of the game. You're thinking what you pair with your food. I like it. All right. So speaking of Latin food, why don't you tell everybody what you're making tonight, and then I'll give you.
Okay. Great. Well, one of the benefits of growing up in Miami is that we're surrounded with immersed by so many different cultures, so different cuisines from the Caribbean, South America, Latin America, and it's just even though my background is Italian, you just can't help to walk into these markets and pick up some of these spices and these different products and foods and cook with it. And throughout the years, I've embraced some of the cooking, and for tonight, I kind of wanted to have a little fun with the local produce that I'm accessible to me. So I wanted to do a pork butt in the pressure cooker. I had the Power Quick Pot, which I use at the firehouse all the time. It's such an easy recipe, and it feeds the guys, feeds a lot of people. It's cheap, it's fast. So I wanted to do something with that kind of give people, other firemen, ideas of something that's good in the firehouse. You just literally stick it in, you set it, you forget, you go run calls, whatever you want, you're not going to burn it. And when you come
back, like a crock pot on steroids, basically. You're going to take something that you could cook in the crock pot, but you're going to do it in, half the time, maybe even quicker.
Right, and the Power Quick Pot's been good. They donated a pot to our buddy as a Pelham that
Tell him, yeah, yep.
Yeah, they were kind enough to send him a big old pressure cooker to his home.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a couple years ago. That was awesome.
Yeah. So they're
We
good.
appreciated the local guys around here, and that was a nice gesture for sure. And then so you got pork in that, and what else?
Over toston, and a toston is basically a plantain. Normally it's green, and when you cut it, you mash it into a coin, and then you fry it. And then I'm going to top that with a little bit of crema fresca, which is South American sour cream, basically. It's a little different. It's a little more creamy. It's been fermented a little bit longer, so it has a different flavor profile. I like it better. It's a little more rich in flavor.
Is it different from like Mexican crema? Is it?
It's very similar.
Yeah,
this is the Central Americano. So basically, it's like
encompasses.
Right, it encompasses. They're very similar. So in that, I also have I'm going to say this wrong. Cotijo cheese. Dirty look over here because she's Mexican.
He's looking at the food stylist like it might.
Yeah. And this is a crumbled, very hard, sharp cheese that I'm going to put on top of the Mexican street corn I plan on making.
I think you could probably compare that almost to like the Mexican version of like Parmigiano for.
Oh, exactly. And when I can't find it, I use Parmesan cheese.
Right. It's a good substitute if you can't find tortilla.
Absolutely, 100%, because it is hard to find.
I'm lucky. Like I'm in New York, but I'm not in New York City. 20 minutes outside of it, and in my area, we have a very big Latin community. So when you told me your menu, I was like, I know exactly what supermarket I'm going to. I know they'll definitely have every single thing I need. So we're both lucky in that way, but it's good to know that there's ways you can substitute certain things if you can't get those.
Yeah, I can't get everything in Boca Raton. That's for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
So there's some Parmesan cheese sprinkled in there with some Mexican street corn every once in a while.
Yeah. And going back to like, the Italian thing and the Latin thing, like if you think about it, Italian cooking, a lot of it's using what's available, right? Yeah. Like what's in season. So you're using that same mindset, but you're just using what you have available, being down in Florida.
Absolutely. And it's very rustic too. Like, Italian cuisine tends to be very, very rustic,
right.
Very regional too. Yeah. And this is the same concept. Use what's in season, what's regional. And it's food from the home. It's not fancy per se, especially Latin cuisine. It's not 5-star restaurant stuff. You could obviously elevate it, and we're going to probably a little bit tonight. But most of the time, it's just found in your homes, everyday home.
Awesome. I see you're cooking your corn. I've got my corn behind me.
Okay.
I'm doing it right on the stovetop. I don't know if you do that often. I just like to set like a wire rack down, and I'm making like a charred salsa tonight, and I get everything on the stovetop. I'm not going to go fire up the grill for little things. So I like to do everything right on top of the stovetop. So if I turn my back to you, it's just because I don't want to burn.
No, fine. And normally I make the street corn. What I do is I soak the husk in water, and I put them right on the grill.
Right.
I kind of just steam them on directly on the grill, and then I'll pull the husk back and give it a nice char.
I think honestly, it's easier to peel that way too. You're not fighting with the husk when you try to do that raw. I feel like when you put it on the grill already with the husk on, when it's done, it's just a lot easier to get that off.
It gives a nice smoky flavor too.
Right.
It slightly chars that husk, so it's kind of like smoked. It gives it that nice aroma to it as well.
It's almost like if you were like cooking it right in the embers or something like that.
Right.
All right, mine's looking pretty good. I'm actually going to crank the heat up a little bit.
Well, AJ, give me 1 second. She's going to pause she's getting the phones.
No problem.
Yeah, she's going to mute her phone.
Sorry. No, it's my computer. It's going crazy.
A lot of angels are getting wings in heaven.
It's so annoying.
Once that's squared away, we'll run back into it.
I'm sorry, I got distracted, and you asked me like what I was gonna make, and I got way sidetracked. You want me to kind of?
It's all good, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, all good.
All right. Okay, whenever you're ready.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so my corn sounds like I got like the Wild West going over here right now. I don't know if you can hear the popping.
Yeah, you're making popcorn back there, bud.
Yeah, I'm almost done. And then I'm actually, so, you know, with this show, what I like to do, and you know, I talked to you about it on the phone call, I like to kind of put the ball in your court and then take what you're making and kind of put my own little spin on it. So you're doing the pork toston, right?
Yes.
You've got sour orange skirt steak tacos with chimichurri.
Correct.
And you're doing elotes, street corn.
Correct.
So I basically took everything you're making and I'm putting it into one dish.
Really?
So I'm gonna do an elote bowl. So I'm gonna cook the corn like we are doing right now, but I'm gonna cut it off the cob.
Delish.
This, dude, I served this in the firehouse with this old crew that I used to work with, and it was like especially in the summer, every week, you know, can you make that? Yo, make that salad, make that corn salad. It's just, everybody likes to eat it on the cob, but because it's so easy to just shovel it in your mouth, I think that's the main appeal of it. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to top it. I got a skirt steak, but instead of sour orange, because you really can't
find it up there.
I just did a cilantro, lime, and actually I like soy sauce in my marinade. So I put a little bit of that. And then I remember you had said something about frozen tostons, and I've never seen them because I never looked for them. So I went to the supermarket and I was like, they gotta have it. And sure enough, right in the frozen food section, they had it. So I did a crumble. I cooked them down and then I chopped them up and then I mixed in some chorizo. So that's my pork aspect. So that's just gonna add like texture onto mine. But I love what you're doing. I don't want to hold you up. Cook what you gotta cook.
No, yeah, it sounds delicious. You know, the first thing I wanted to do was just get the pork in the pressure cooker and let it do its thing, if you don't mind.
Do it.
Yeah, all right. So right over here, I have the Power Quick Pot, which is my firehouse favorite. And I don't know if you can see this. And I got about 5 pounds of pork butt that I cubed. I'm going to go ahead and just put it in. And I have some jarred salsa verde sauce. All right, you could use any substitute you want. Any kind of sauce will work, but this is just one that I like to use. Okay. And I'm going to add about a half a jar. You don't need very much liquid in there because it's a pressure cooker, so it adds liquid as it cooks. All right, and we're going to just close this up, and we're going to set it to pork.
And it's got a button on there just for pork.
Correct.
Wow.
If you can see that, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's so easy, man. And literally, I just put it in there and closed it. Added those 2 ingredients, and it was just cubed pork butt, salsa verde, and I set it for 30 minutes in the pressure cooker.
And it's cheap, right? You're using pork butt. That's not an expensive cut.
No. Everybody
knows in the fire, and I think I could talk about this every episode we do. You know, there's always some sort of budget, right? Like, you know, there's firehouses that are like, all right, $10 a guy, breakfast, lunch.
Yeah, I don't go for that.
I'm with you, bro. I'm right there.
I'm cooking, you're paying. And if you don't like it, you can cook.
I'm right there with you. And, you know, I'm lucky enough in my firehouse where the guys trust me enough that I'm not going to go buy truffles and, like, you know, charge them $30 for a plate of pasta. You know, it's kind of like an honor system.
Absolutely.
I know there's jobs out there, like the last episode we did with Ben McGraw, who's from Texas. He gets $10 a guy, and that covers basically lunch and dinner, and it includes staple pantry items like ketchup, flour, oil.
Really?
And I'm like, man, for breakfast, I mean, for lunch and dinner in New York, it's not working. He has, quite a few guys in his station to cook for. So he kind of lucks out with being able to buy maybe like the family pack and the bulk stuff. I'm not that lucky. I don't have that many guys. So, we're constantly looking for the sales or the cheaper cuts like you're doing, like with the pork butt.
Yeah, I always look for sales too. Normally when I build my menu every morning when I get on shift, is I seem to be the cook. Is the first thing I do is I go right to the what's on sale at the local markets.
Right.
I'll start with my protein, and then I'll build the menu from there.
Right.
I do try to keep it $20 a meal.
Okay.
Try to. But sometimes the guys are like, hey, let's have some good steak, or let's go up a little bit. But if I go over, I've never had anybody complain.
Especially if you're putting out good food. I mean, honestly, if you're gonna get takeout, you could spend easily $15 to $20 on a takeout meal. So to get a nice home cooked meal that you'll probably get seconds on, because if you don't make enough, there's seconds. When there's like that.
You can always go over. You
just
can go under.
yeah, exactly.
That's like the rule of thumb, with firehouse cooking. You can always have more, and then there's of course, there's always the art of firehouse sport eating. Where it means it's going to eat, with like twice your body weight. It's like a food competition. No matter how much food's there, we're going to eat it as fast as possible.
And there's that golden rule. It's don't eat as much, or only eat as much that could fit in your mask. You gotta let it all back out, but
we break that rule all the time.
Oh yeah, I think that was just a way to make it seem like you're not a slob.
But we eat well, man, in my station, and I'm thankful. I have some good local markets with some good stuff that's sourced. What I did was I took the Mexican the corn. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I steamed it first. And just for the sake of the podcast, I took the husk off. Sometimes I might leave it on there just for the appearance.
Right.
And I put it on my griddle top here to give it a nice little char, and I think it gives it a little bit of flavor, almost like that popcorn type of flavor.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that there. The char
Yeah. Nice.
And so what I did was I got the crema centroamericana and a little bit of mayonnaise. This is the traditional Mexican street corn. They call it elotes. And my spin on it is, and I don't know if it's an original spin or just something that I like to do, is I took flaming hot Cheetos. What do you call those things? Tacos. And I put them through the mill, and it comes out different flavors, So you have like different chiles. And it's crunchy.
I'm stealing this, by the way.
I'm sorry?
I'm stealing this idea, by the way.
Oh, it's amazing. It's delicious. And since I went to a market that's in a special urban area, you get to find special colored Takis that you don't get at Boca Raton, like Hulk green.
Is that Miami Dolphin green?
I think so. Yeah, I couldn't find any of these green Takis in Boca for some reason. And then I got a little bit of this. This is a lighter green. I kind of milled out, and then of course I got the flaming hot red ones.
You could just open up like an elote food truck and just have like the rainbow. Every day different color.
This is like one of those like your dish. When I make it the firehouse, they love it, and so.
Firemen are kids, right? At the end of the day?
I'm sorry?
Firemen are big kids. At the end of the day, they like colorful things. They like sirens. They like to hear, woo, woo, woo.
You're pulling on my heartstrings, AJ.
No.
I'm a driver. That's the best part of the job. We get to go through lights, sirens, air horns, blow horns at people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the corn off the grill here, let it cool down for a second. Before I put it into la crema fresca, and I'm going to put my skirt steak on. And for my skirt steak, I was lucky enough to source some sour oranges. Now, this is uncommon. It's even hard to find down here. I had to go to a special market to find it. And they were actually not that cheap either. They were like $2, $1, was it 50 cents a piece?
Wow.
They come down to, and they're relatively small. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. So they're kind of ugly looking.
This is going to sound like a stupid question, but what does it taste like other than a sour orange? You know,
it is so sour and full of seeds. I'll cut one for you.
Like lemon sour, or is it, you know?
It is astringent. It is bitter. It is very bitter.
Bitter. Okay.
Yeah, it's to drink the juice straight would be almost difficult. And this one is not too bad. Normally it's full of seeds. It's like 3 or 4 times the amount of seed you'll find in orange.
Is it something that, you know, is primarily used for marinades, or is there another use for them, or?
It's used for marinades down here, and it's very strong. So if you use like wild meats, like I've used, you know, down here we have hog, boar.
Yeah. I love.
Whenever I cook like wild boar, I get some of the guys I work with hunt. They bring in deer. They bring in boar. The sour orange really draws out some of that gamey flavor to it.
Okay.
And it works phenomenal. It's just a relatively short amount of time. It gives you a nice acidity to the food. It brings out a nice flavor profile. I've noticed that you also could buy it in a jar. You'll find this in, I think, in most markets. Are you familiar with this?
Okay. I've never seen it, but I also haven't looked for it. So it could be one of those things where it's there and, you know.
This is in most markets, even up by your part. You know, it just says, it'll say in Spanish, naranja agria, which means sour orange.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, I've done a bunch of like food competitions and stuff.
Yeah.
So I took a bunch of these different bottled ones, and then I took just regular, real sour oranges, and I marinated a bunch of steaks with it, and I put it out to the guys, and I'm like, which one is, you know, which one do you like the most? And it was just without question, the fresh sour orange is it's just so pungent, has such a good flavor. But this is a good substitute as well.
Sure. Like you said, if you can't get it or something.
You can't get it. And if you use it, you got to just marinate it for like 24 hours or so to really kind of get it in there.
A buddy just literally the other day at work gave me, he went on a big hunting trip. And I was like, I want a rack of ribs. You know, nobody ever gives anybody any venison ribs. And he came back, slapped them on the table. So now I got a rack of venison ribs. So that's good to know that, you know, you like that with game meat. Maybe if I could find it around here, maybe I'll give that a shot.
If you come across some, I highly recommend it as a marinade. If not, the bottle always seems to substitute as well. I'm going to go ahead. What I did was I took the sour orange and I got about a cup of it, of the juice, and I added a tablespoon of garlic powder, a tablespoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of pepper, and I made a mojo. I don't know if you've heard that term before.
Yeah. I've seen it in various applications, I guess.
Right. So down here, a mojo is just basically a meat marinade, is the Spanish term for it.
Okay.
I put it on the skirt steak. Got the inside flat.
Nice.
I'm going to go ahead and put it right on my grill while we speak. You get a nice little sear. Okay. And I'm going to be making tacos with the churrasco, we call it. And I'm going to also be making a fresh chimichurri sauce.
Now, are you doing parsley chimichurri, cilantro?
I like flat leaf Italian parsley in my chimichurri.
Okay.
I may add a little bit of cilantro to it, but I'm cautious because cilantro could be overpowering in flavor.
Gotcha. I love chimichurri. Unfortunately, my wife hates parsley. So I'm usually, you know, making just enough for myself, and, you know, the guys at work, a lot of them don't like green stuff.
Oh, no, you don't say.
Yeah, so, you know, but that, like you were saying earlier, you know, when we were talking, that's part of the firehouse cooking thing, is kind of tailoring your menu to who likes what, you know, who's maybe got an allergy or who's on a diet. And, you know, I've talked to some chef, you know, firehouse chefs, and they're like strictly like, nope, whatever I make is what I'm making, and that's the end of it. But to me, the reason like we like to cook is we like to make people happy, right? So if I'm like, nope, I'm putting, you know, parsley in this dish, whether you like it or not, that guy's not going to be happy. And what good is it for me, you know?
Well, my oldest son has celiac disease.
Okay.
And it's complete. I know you know, but some people may not know. It's a complete intolerance to gluten, which is bread or anything that has sauces. It's in a lot of products. And I've seen how people have, have been so dismissive of his.
Right.
It's an autoimmune disease. He was born with it.
Right.
I'm very sensitive, and I always ask the guys, "Hey, man, is there anything allergies? Is there anything you do eat or don't eat?" And I said, "I don't have a problem trying to cater to that. Fortunately, I have the capability of being able to create different dishes."
Sure.
Yeah.
I've got a cousin who's got it, and every family function, it's there's the regular food, and then there's the gluten-free versions of basically whatever else we're eating.
Nice. I'm gonna go ahead and build one of my street corn. It looks like it's ready.
Good. So I cut, like I said earlier, I cut the corn off of my cob. And I don't know if you saw, but I was scraping the back of my knife on the cob just to kind of get as much out of it as I can. And then I ended up making, I guess you could call it the dressing. So I took mayo, but then I blended up I like dried chilies.
Okay.
So I had ancho, I had chipotle, and I had guajillo. I like guajillo for the color. It's probably a little too spicy for my wife, but you know what? That's so I'm gonna dress mine up. I'm not gonna put too much. And then I know you have cotija. I like cotija, but I also like queso fresco.
Oh,
this one's nice because you could kind of leave it chunkier if you want. You break it up just as much as you want.
And it's not so strong.
Right. Yeah. It's milder, right? It's almost like it's almost like a hard ricotta, I guess.
Yes. With the fresh cheese, it's
right. Exactly. It's not fermented or aged or anything like that. I'm gonna get some of that in here, and then I'm gonna do some cilantro.
Okay. So what do you got in there, AJ? You got the corn off the husk.
Corn off the husk. I've got the dressing, which is mayo.
Okay.
Guajillo, ancho, and chipotle chiles.
Okay.
A little bit of cumin, some salt, some lime juice.
Man, it sounds delicious. I love the chipotle with adobo sauce.
Yeah, like that smokiness,
Yeah, it's
and
good. It's got a lot of heat to it, but it's delicious.
Right, and you get that little can, right? You could get like 3 meals out of that thing, unless you're like a lunatic, that.
No way.
Really like spice. But I'll usually use, either the liquid itself, or I'll use the peppers themselves, and then I'll just save what I don't use, and then, when it comes time, I'll use the rest of it.
Love it. What else you got going in there?
So that's it for right now. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put a little cilantro. So this is gonna be like the base. I'm a big fan of bowls.
Okay.
Especially in the firehouse where, it's like you could kind of make it where it's you could tailor it to your liking. So you make like a taco bar, but it's all right, I like this topping, I'll put that, and so I'm a big fan of the bowl situation. And then I'm gonna start buzzing up. I charred up tomatillo, which I love because it's tart, it adds like that brightness to it. I've got poblanos, which were like the last peppers from my garden. These are, super late season. I charred the hell out of some garlic. I know that's like a cooking faux pas, right? Like everybody's like, don't burn the garlic. Right. But I honestly like some of the bitterness sometimes, kind of balance out everything. I got some onion, and I even charred up the lime. I'm just gonna buzz everything up, make a quick salsa to put on top.
Sounds amazing. Yes, I got the first steak going over here. I got a nice char marks going with it.
Nice.
And I was gonna take some of my corn and start just running it through my little production here. What I do is I just get it a nice even distribution of the crema fresca, and then I'll just come over here and I'm gonna sprinkle some of my Takis on there. And I could do one flavor, or like on this one, I'm going to just do a variety of them, make it nice and colorful.
And this is something you could kind of do ahead of time, right? You know, you're getting the rest of the meal ready. Do this ahead of time. Don't put it on the table because the guys are going to eat it before it's time to eat. But
correct,
you know, it's at least it's done, right?
That's it.
And so you mentioned earlier, Food Network, cooking competition. Like you know, you've done it all basically, right?
Yeah, you know, I fell into it by accident, I guess you could say. I had my mentor, a very good friend of mine. His name was John Wilson. He was a professionally trained chef.
Is he a fireman as well, or is he's a chef?
Yeah, he was a fireman. He went to culinary school.
Nice.
And then decided to pursue the fire service. And John was just probably one of the best chefs I ever known. And we hit it off. I was very young at the time in the fire service, but we'd get in the kitchen and we'd tell stories about our sons. We both have 3 sons. And we just talked BS about growing up. He grew up in New York, growing up in a Greek deli. And, you know, we just hit it off. And unfortunately, he was killed in a off-duty accident.
Oh, man. Sorry to hear that.
And, yeah. And so one day, one of my friends calls me and says, hey, Steak of Meats is having this recipe competition for firemen, and the winner gets, you know, $10,000 towards a scholarship. We had just started a scholarship in his honor. And
wow.
I said, you know what? I don't really care to be in a recipe competition at the time. I just, you know, but I said, I'll do it for the scholarship and to honor John, because I was very close to him. So I submitted a recipe for the Steakum Firehouse Challenge. It was like the last day. I got a call, was selected to be one of the finalists, and from there it just, you know, it just took off, and I got bit by the whole competition bug, and it just pursued on to other things. Butterburgers Championship, did the World Food Championships a couple times.
So you're competitive by nature. That's just you.
I guess, you know, I think I like to be pushed. You know, I think all of them really made me better. It wasn't necessarily a competition as much as like, man, how far can I take something? You know, how creative can I become?
Right.
And I think that's really was the beauty of it. It really forced me to get out of my comfort zone. And I did enjoy it. I got to travel. I got to see the world. I got to meet a lot of firemen. I was part of the America's Best Firehouse Chili.
Right. I remember that. Yeah. I submitted a recipe for that, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah. I didn't get anywhere with it. Can't win them all, right?
Listen, chili's not I'm not gonna lie to you. Chili's not my forte. I make a bolognese sauce and then add meats to it. You know.
Whatever, dude, it works, right? Obviously.
Yeah. I'm like, chili to me is bolognese. You know, I'm like,
you know why I think I didn't get picked on that one? My wife and I had just went to Barcelona.
Okay.
And we had this chickpea dish in one of the markets, and it was like chickpea, blood sausage, ton of parsley, onion.
I do remember that recipe.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be inspired. You know, I'm gonna make this like, you know, super off the, you know, map kind of chili recipe. Well,
right.
In my head, yeah, that sounded good. It tasted great, but it doesn't translate to firehouse chili, you know. So,
well,
that one was
that's funny you say that. You know, a lot of these food competitions are so subjective, you know, and you never know what or any of these food competitions.
Right.
And
that, you know what? Honestly, that's why Fork and Hose Company, what that has showed me, and, you know, in turn showed everybody else, is we don't just cook chili, and we don't just cook steak and potatoes. Like, you know, there's firehouse chefs putting out some amazing food that is totally against what the normal would be, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm gonna buzz up my salsa real quick, so you might hear a little buzzing.
Yeah, buzz it up. Can you get this here? So why you do that there, AJ? I got my Mexican street corn, and I have some. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, look at that!
And I'm gonna just finish it with the hard Mexican cheese.
Nice.
Okay, this is the traditional elotes, and I put a little bit of a little bit of parsley on top just to kind of decorate it. Okay. And so up front, I have the traditional ones, which is the crema fresca, mayonnaise, the cojito cheese, and some parsley. Cotija. You heard that? Yeah.
We're gonna have like on the bottom of the screen, like like a countdown, like how many times you messed that one up.
I know what I'm saying. That's the thing. You know what I mean? I understand myself.
Right. That's all that matters, bro. That's all that matters.
You know what I mean? I know what I'm saying. If somebody else can understand me, that's their problem. You know?
Right.
So,
but to everybody's defense, that's Mexican. If somebody called something manicotti or something like that, you'd probably get pissed off about that too, wouldn't you?
Yeah, man, that's everybody. Everybody butchers Italian. Yeah, I mean,
including Italian Americans for sure.
Yeah, I think we're the worst offenders.
Right, exactly.
You know,
we can't do any wrong, so
Jewel,
So you did the competitions, but then you also were on Food Network, right?
I was. I went on the first series of Cooks versus Cons, where it was 2 amateur chefs like myself. I'm not a chef. I'm just a cook. I don't call myself a chef.
You're a firehouse chef.
I'm a firehouse chef. I'll take that.
Firehouse chef.
But I just consider myself a cook. And versus 2 professional chefs, and the judges don't know who's the amateur and who's the pro. And I had a lot of fun with that. I made it down to between me and Chef Brian from Nevada, who's a phenomenal friend of mine. Chef B, we're still good friends. He ended up winning it.
Where did you film that? Was that in New York? Was that out in LA?
We filmed that in Jersey at Buddy Velastro's Bakery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was real neat. I got to meet him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah. Cool.
Big production. I know you've been on Guys Grocery Games. I think that's out in California, right?
Yeah, that's I always forget the exact town, but it's kind of like Santa Rosa.
Okay.
So it's near Napa Valley, or it might even be in Napa Valley, but you're only there for a couple days, so you get to drive by all the nice vineyards and see all those nice areas, but you have absolutely no time to really enjoy any of that.
Yeah, that's funny because guys, it came down to Guys Grocery Games and Cooks versus Cons. They were both kind of like trying to cast me at the same time.
Right.
And I just ended up going with the first one, but they wanted to fly me in for a day, and I'm like, no, I want to be, if I'm going to New York City, I want to stay there for 2 nights,
Yeah, at least a day. You can't really. I mean, I can see where I went in Santa Rosa because you're 20, 30 minutes from everything. But New York, New Jersey, that area, you can be anywhere in 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, of course. And it's and I love New York. I love that whole area. What's there not to love?
Right.
Miami. So I got my skirt steak. It's done, got a beautiful char to it. And I'm going to do a nice little chimichurri, which is a very traditional steak, cut of steak down here. And the chimichurri is a very common, condiment that we add to it. And so I'm going to go ahead here. I have some chopped flat leaf Italian parsley, a little bit of cilantro, not too much, some minced garlic. Okay. I have about a tablespoon of fresh lime juice. I have a tablespoon of Italian herbs.
Oh, I'm just going to mute myself.
Go ahead.
For the
Good. I got a teaspoon of salt and a little teeny bit of pepper. And to this, I'm going to add my olive oil. So I got my acid in there, my salt, my pepper, my herbs, my garlic, and then I just add enough oil to cover the flat leaf parsley. It's about a half cup. I take my spoon and mix it around. It makes almost like a nice little green sauce to it. It's very herby. It's got the garlic to it, so it has a nice bite. And it has a nice bit of acidity in there between the lime and the white distilled vinegar. So it gives it like a fresh bite to about anything. I use this over steak. I use this over, I could put this on a piece of bread and eat it, to be honest with you. It's one of my go-to things you could always put over anything. So since I'm gonna put this into a taco, I got my chimichurris done. Oops, forgot to put that in there. And I'm gonna bring out my little taco holder. You can see that. And I'm gonna go into the food warmer, give me some fresh. I was lucky enough to get some fresh tortillas this morning. I literally was standing there when the guy showed up with a cooler full of these really warm, delicious. I mean, they were like still steaming hot. I like to double them up. Just makes it a little bit stronger. They're small in size. You can go single if that's what you like. Just the way I like to do it. Okay. And we're gonna give this skirt steak a quick cut. Move this up. All right, now we have the skirt steak over here. And what I do is I cut it in half. I like to cut against the grain. I know you know that, but I'm just kind of saying it for everybody to see. They're here. I got a nice medium rare. I don't know if you could get that in the camera or not, but they got the juices are still flowing in. And then we're gonna go with it against the grain with the cut. And since it's a taco, I'm gonna do a nice long, thin slithers of it. Into strips. And you can just see it's beautiful. It's nice and pink. It's got good color to it. The sour oranges gives it just that real nice, it's a tang that's really unique and delicious. And we're gonna put our strips in here. And this is just very simple. Basically, we're just taking the steak. We made a very simple chimichurri green sauce. A little more on this one. Okay. And we're gonna top it. You could add different condiments you like. The queso fresco is very popular. Always goes really well with this. But I like it just like this. It's basically you got the flavor of the steak, the chimichurri, and then you have the taco, and it gives it a real nice little holder there for you. Okay. Boom. It looks so good. I want to take a bite of this. That's pretty good, AJ. Not gonna lie to you.
Sorry, I got to keep myself on mute. I got my hood on so I don't get the boys showing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, no worries. I'm gonna wipe the cutting board real quick.
You know what the problem is? Because we don't have like a professional studio here, I gotta have this hood cranking if I'm cooking. Not underneath it, you know, I got one of those induction burners, and above me is nothing but ceiling.
Oh, yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know, if I don't have the hood on, forget it.
Oh, what are you talking about? My apartment? Forget about it. I got 3 sons, and we call it the ventilation drill. You know what I mean? They know that when I sear something, I go, hey, guys, vent drill. So they know, open one sliding glass door and close all the other doors.
Yep.
One window in the bedroom, you know what I mean? And we're going to vent this place. That's the one time that we actually like some fire.
Up, right? The trucks.
No?
So when I was cooking my steak, I used the cast iron. I love the cast iron. But I like to flip mine. You know, I know there's like that camp that's like, you know, straight up, leave it, cook it one side, flip it, leave it. But I've noticed whether it's a skirt steak or a thick steak, like a, you know, 1.5-inch, 2-inch ribeye.
Right.
When you flip it more often, you get a better crust and you get more even cooking. You know, it's not.
I agree with you. I think that's a misconception when you said that you can't move the steak. I move the crap out of those steaks. I move them around the pan too to get the hot spots.
Exactly.
You know, and if it's not seared enough, I flip it back over.
Right.
You know, that's an old. I think there's so many myths. You know, with what there's no right or wrong. It's what works for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How's your pork doing there?
Oh, so my pork is in the.
What are we gonna take
the tostones. Well, the pork is doing its magic. We're going to check on it. But meantime, through food TV magic. Wow.
Shazam.
Yeah, I may have done this before. Look at that, AJ. So what we have over here is shredded pork. It comes out beautiful. I don't know if you could get a good shot on this, okay? But the pork is shredded. And what I do is I take the pork out of the pressure cooker, and there's a lot of liquid in there. I take the liquid, I put it into a saucepan, and I reduce it to a third. So I condense all those flavors. And then once I shred the pork, I'll reintroduce it back into the pressure cooker on a warm setting. And so it kind of just infuses all that condensed flavor back into the shredded pork, and it just keeps it moist and beautiful.
And like you were saying earlier, that's perfect for the firehouse, because if you got that on the warm setting, a run comes in, a couple runs come in, you could go out and when you come back, especially with pork butt, you're eating good. Like there's no, it's not a piece of fish where you got to worry about it drying out or a piece of steak that, is going to end up like shoe leather.
You can't screw it up. But the Power Crate pot does everything. It keeps it, and it goes right to warm setting.
Right.
So it's just easy. I swear I use it all the time, especially now I'm getting lazier and lazier. Sometimes you get tired of cooking all this.
No, you're working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I got, 7 to 8 people I feed, 2 meals a day. It's almost like a side job.
Right, yeah. Yeah, listen, I went to maybe I shouldn't say it, but there was a big city department that I went and visited, a friend of mine who's on the job there. And I walk into the firehouse and they're like, oh, this is the chef. And I'm like, oh, you like to cook? He's like, yeah, no, that's what I do. So he literally comes into work, he collects the money from the guys, right?
Okay.
Gets in his personal vehicle, goes to the supermarket, shops, cooks all day. He's in the kitchen all day. It's like a catering hall. They're an engine, truck, rescue, battalion chief, fire prevention. And if a run comes in, he doesn't even have to go,
Yeah, well, I think that's fair. I mean, you can't really, that's crazy. It's like doing 2 dinner parties in 24 hours.
And, listen, I did ask, if they took transfers.
I always think that the cook should get step-up pay.
Right.
Because the cooking part doesn't get put on any kind of like employee evaluation form. There's no box like, does this guy cook, yes or no?
Right.
How good is his cooking? Excellent. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like everything else. What kind of employee is this? That should be in like the employee evaluation. How good are his cooking skills?
And you know what? Going on top of that, I feel like the public perception is it's one way or the other. They're either like super supportive of it, like, listen, you guys are there for, depending on the shifts you work, 24s, 14s, whatever. And then there's other people that, I've had somebody question me in the parking lot of the supermarket. What's the rig doing here? Why is it running? Why is it?
Yes.
And then that's tough. But you're right. The firehouse chef is probably one of the most important people in that firehouse. Not just from a sustenance perspective, not just from the fact that you're feeding guys, but you're providing some level of comfort, or
Absolutely agree with you.
It's more than the food itself.
That's how we debrief. That's our psychologist couch.
Right.
That's when we sit around. We have a bad call. We sit around the dinner table. And we break each other's chops. There's not a lot of jobs where you get to sit down and eat like family, where everybody's eating from the same bowl. It's not, or the same plates, and it's such a blessing to be able to share that with my coworkers. We can sit around and break bread together and discuss things. And if there's something on somebody's mind, guys get it out, and we discuss all kind of things. It could be good or bad, but we get it out. We hash out our differences, or most of the time it's just a lot of ball breaking and joking and laughing.
Naturally. It isn't a firehouse kitchen without any of that. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to plate my pulled pork over here with the salsa verde. And I'm going to take just some of this. Now this is the toston. Let me show you real quick. I don't think I gave you a good.
Yeah, let me see that.
Further, it's nice.
Oh, wait.
Up.
Well, put that down. You got tweezers in this? You got tweezers?
Buddy, I'm big time.
Damn. Well, I didn't get that memo.
Listen.
Oh, man. What's next?
I got 2 of them. AJ, you got to get with the program, bud. Okay? I have got one that's curved, and I got one that's straight.
Hey, that's a different show.
Big boogers. I think some other people call these McGill forceps.
Right.
If anybody chokes in the firehouse, I could always just go down there and pull it right out, you know? So, culinary
EMS,
McGills.
Nice. Sorry, I cut you off because I was breaking.
No, you're good, man. So I got the tostones. So it's just a green plantain. I mashed it. I gave it a little fry. Put a little bit of salt on top. It's nice. It's crunchy. It's on the bland side, so it makes a nice neutral kind of plate. And then I'm gonna take some
like a blank slate
pork. So put it right on top. It's nice and shredded. It's really just juicy. It's loaded with flavor. I wish that you could eat through the TV.
Camera?
Yeah, or at least smell-o-vision would be phenomenal, wouldn't it?
Oh,
That'll
happen one day. Maybe not when we're around, but just to
man.
go back on what you were talking about, because I think you mentioned it when you were cutting your steak. To all the people that are watching, super important with cutting against the grain, right? Like this is a skirt steak. It's a little mangled, I guess you could say, whoever butchered it. But if I'm cutting this, my knife is not big enough to get through this whole thing. So I'm just going to make it a little more manageable. And that grain is pretty easy to see once you start separating it. Super important, make sure you cut against the grain. Go on the bias if you want to make it a little fancier. It'll just look nicer.
Yeah, it makes it more tender.
Yeah, not like shoe leather,
Yeah, correct. So I got a little bit of this crema fresca. I'll put in a little bottle. This is also fancy. I'm doing my fancy pants stuff. If this was a firehouse right now, there'd be a lot of ball busting going on.
Yeah. Where's the food?
Oh yeah. Or we're hungry, we don't give a crap, or or if God forbid somebody takes a phone out,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
The last guy we had on the show, we go the whole, and he actually filmed it at the firehouse. So, I gave him a lot of credit for even thinking to do that. And then, the whole cook is going great. And then here we go. We got to walk into the kitchen where everybody's sitting down at the table. They're waiting. And you could just hear it right away, the chirps, And it was perfect. It was like on cue, like he knew it was coming. You could just see in his face, like, here we go.
Yeah.
Not only am I, usually taking these fancy pictures, but now I'm recording a video, about the process. And it was pretty cool.
They give us such a hard time about it, but boy, do they love when we cook for them.
Oh,
yeah.
Exactly. And so your firehouse, are you, I know you said you cook a lot, but is it like designated? Like, all right, Alex is working, he's cooking. Like,
so it's pretty accurate. When I show up, I'm just, I'm also the driver on the fire truck.
Okay.
The guys in the medic unit, they get, to be fair, we got a great fire. I want to give a shout out to Truck 5, Medic 5. That's my crew back in Boca. And our UMS captain, she's also at her station. She's phenomenal. We're like family. Those guys are great, but those guys in the medic unit, they get their butts kicked. And so we try to pull some of the weight on the truck. I drive a ladder truck, and it's just part of being the driver. It just seems like the designated guy for it.
Right.
Besides, everybody else cooking sucks compared to mine. So
you want me to edit that part out, or you want?
No, you can leave it right in. They know it.
Yeah.
So here we go. I don't know if you get a good shot of this. Can you? There we go. So what I did was I got the toston. Can you see that, AJ?
Yeah, man.
And I put the pulled pork on top, a little bit of the crema fresca, and then I pickled some red onions And I put some very wilted looking cilantro on top as a sad looking garnish, but
It's all good, man. At least you garnished it. At least you garnished it. I know in the firehouse, garnishing is kind of frowned upon where I am.
no, I garnish stuff. Listen, you eat with your eyes.
Right, exactly.
You know, and then to me, it's like first is your eyes, then it's your nose.
Yep.
You know, you see it, and then your nose picks up on the aroma, and the last thing is the palate. You know, that's really the last sense that gets any pleasure. You know, but nothing goes
like
the eyes.
And
Sorry?
something like cilantro, you know, yeah, there's a flavor to it, but there's also an aroma. You know, it's not strictly you know, a flavor thing. You know, it looks nice. Maybe not when it's wilted.
It took me a second there. Sorry, this virgin margarita caught up to me here.
Yeah. Quick tip though. Quick tip regarding wilted herbs. You know, while we're on that subject.
Yep.
First restaurant I ever worked at, it was mandatory that you refresh your herbs before service.
I learned
So
it from you, by the way.
thank you. Yeah. So it's
Everybody ready to say.
cilantro, you know, soft herbs, basil, chervil, dill, even, you know, those kind of things, not like rosemary or thyme. Just shock them in ice water for, you know, 10, 20 minutes, pull them out, dry them, and it's like giving them CPR. Herb CPR. See that?
I love that.
Pointing that term. Hold on to that. And it just kind of, you know, brings them back to life a little bit. But, you know, it's
I learned
just
that from you. You put that on your podcast.
Yeah.
I never knew that, and I actually did that. I found, you know, sometimes you go through the kitchen refrigerator, you find, you know, other people's stuff, and I'm like, you know, I can use a little bit of this, but it looks a little sad. And I said,
right.
I remember you talking about the ice bath, and I tried it, and man, it brought it right back to life.
Yeah, yeah. So it works.
Thank you for that tip. You know, that's I've learned a lot of things from you and your you know, in Fork and Hose, man. You really honestly have done a phenomenal job. I think over the years you've expanded your cuisine, and the video quality has gotten so much better that it's just, I follow you. I mean, I love what you do. I love your recipes. I steal a bunch of them. I'm going to let you know right now, and I take full credit, you know.
It's all right. I'm stealing flaming hot Cheetos. Believe me.
You know, I never mention your name whenever the guys are like, that's delicious. I'm like, yeah, thank you very much. It's, I've been working on this recipe for a while.
Yeah, how about this? From now on, what we'll do is I'll cook the meals. I'll ship them down. You know, it'll be like those like prepackaged meal things that they do now.
I'll ship you up some sour oranges. Actually, give a shout out to we have, I think, a common buddy that follows us, the chief. Chef Island Medic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Out of Canada, great guy, and he reached out to me after the chili competition, and I sent him a box of sour oranges.
I see how it is.
But
all this love, I don't get any oranges. What's this all about?
You're gonna get now. You're gonna get some.
I'm gonna show up to work. All right, we got sour oranges for a week. That's funny. No, listen. Honestly, Alex, I appreciate you coming on and doing this. And Fork and Hose Company doesn't exist without guys like you, guys and girls. You know, it started off, you know, it was my way of sharing my own stuff, but real quick, I realized it's not about what I can do, it's sharing what everybody else can do. And you're a perfect example of what a firehouse chef can put out there. You know, it's not just chili, it's not just steak and potatoes. So
what keeps it going for you, man? The passion. I mean, because I know that, like I said, you know, I started off as the firefighter foodie, and then I just kind of, after a while, I kind of, you know, didn't have quite. It's a lot of work for you to put out those videos, and it constantly
appropriate.
It's crazy, you know. So what drives you, man, to do this? You know.
I think it's what I get out of it when I get to do stuff like this, you know. And you know, I've virtually met people, you know, firefighters from all over the country just because of what I've been doing. And you know, I feel like between that and the stuff that I've learned along the way, I kind of have to pay it forward, you know. And if I can inspire one person to get back into the kitchen, or to get into the kitchen and start cooking for their crew or even their family, home run. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, it's a big part of what you do. You said it earlier. You know, I mean, when you have the guy that cooks, it brings us together. And when you have a good chef in the firehouse, it just makes the day go better. It really does. It makes for a better 24 hours. And I always feel like if I could do anything to make this next 24 hours better for my crew, I'm going to do it. Because sometimes, you know, it's a sacrifice. Having to go shop and then, you know, collect money from everybody, cooking, and then you're running calls, you're training, and then you know, everything has to drop every time the tones go off, and half the time you're working on a dish, and you're like, oh, shoot.
You can say it. You can say it. Don't worry.
Gosh, darn it.
Yeah.
The tones go off, you know?
Right.
And, you know, and you got to turn everything off and go.
And I think that's what, you know, that's why I always say, you know, I refer to guys like us as firehouse chefs, because we're doing things that, you know, a chef in a restaurant would do, but on a whole nother level. You know, chefs in restaurants, nobody's walking in and saying, all right, everybody shut the ovens off. Come back in 20 minutes. No, this is a whole different ball game. You know, granted, you know, we're not doing, you know, 200 covers a night, but it's, you know, you're still dealing with what I like to call the most critical individuals you've ever met. You know, I think firefighters are just, they're going to let you know if something sucks.
Oh, yeah.
You'll never make it again, or, you know, you'll never hear the end of it.
Oh, and they love to break my balls every day. Every crew, every meal to them, there's always some kind of criticism. You know, they enjoy it. They love it, you know.
Yeah.
Then at the end, they're always like, hey, man, thank you. You know, we appreciate it. But it wouldn't be a firehouse if they didn't break balls, you know?
Just that simple, like, hey, man, thanks for cooking. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I love that. You could say it sucks, but if you thank me for making a shitty meal, I'm all right. I'm good with it.
You know, and it's funny. I'm like the house mom. You know, as I'm sitting in the kitchen cooking, I can't tell you how many people gather around the kitchen and they either watch or we start to talk. You know, or guys will come in and they'll start to private. You know, it seems like we all just. It becomes a gathering place when I'm cooking. You know, and
but do you get the hovering? Do you get like the guys that you know? There you go. Start grabbing things.
Always.
Right.
And there's always like that one guy who has 100 questions, but you've never seen you know, make toast.
Yeah. How do you do
You're like, bro, you know, I can write a cookbook with all the information I'm giving you. You know, you can apply it and stuff, or like what? You know.
Still can't figure out how to boil water.
Right.
But they're good for cleaning the dishes at least.
Oh, without question. I'll tell you, I haven't cleaned a toilet in a firehouse, and I can't remember.
Oh wow, you got it like that, huh? You cook, you don't clean nothing.
I mean, listen, I'm cooking. I'm not cleaning the station. I'm not doing toilets. I'm not doing none of that stuff. You guys do it. It's your job.
So when I go back to work, I'm gonna be like, hey guys, listen, Alex told me that
absolutely
I don't have to do anything except cook.
I'm gonna make this it's real easy, AJ. You say, no problem. I either clean a toilet or I cook. You know what I mean? What do you want me to do? That's the toy. Those you got A and you got B. You know, what do you want? I'll clean the toilet.
Do you think it's a good approach to like bring the food that you were gonna cook? Be like, hey, you see this giant ribeye I was gonna cook? You know, kind of entice them that way.
I don't think you're gonna get off very easy, AJ. I think those guys should be so appreciative to have you there, man. You know, I'm surprised.
You know, all of us that like to cook. I'm plating mine up, man. I'm getting hungry over here.
Yeah. Are we digging in? What are we doing?
Yeah, let's do it. Real quick. Don't dig into everything. Save some, because we like to do like a post-production, you know, picture. So save some stuff. But
you want to do pictures now?
Yeah, let's do it now then. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
So I got my bowl. Like I said, I'm doing a street corn bowl.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna lay some skirt steak on top. I'm not gonna put too much because I honestly ate dinner already. But I'm gonna do skirt steak. I've got the queso fresco. Like I said, you get to crumble it kind of to your liking, and I like to keep it a little inconsistent just because I like that, you know, bite of a bigger piece of cheese, and then maybe have, if you listen, you could hear the boys in the background.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to put the crumble on top. This is that chorizo toston crumble.
Okay.
Basically for texture. I'm going to put a dollop of that salsa on top. I love tomatillos. Like that's, when it comes to tacos or Latin food in general.
Right.
I love the addition of that. Just because I think it like cuts through any richness, you know, like the tartness of it. Got some avocado, which honestly I wasn't going to throw in there, but I had them, so why not?
You know what? I was actually going to make an avocado tomatillo salsa, which I had the tomatillos here, but the avocados were like baseballs. I want to save my life. I went to do so. Okay, we scratched that, you know. So I have them on display over here, but that was the original idea was to make a little salsa with a tomatillo and avocado and a little bit of cilantro.
There's not too many things worse than thinking an avocado is ripe, and as soon as you bury the knife into it, you go, nah, not ready. It's like watery almost, you know.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna top it off with a seasoning which I'm sure you're familiar with, tagine.
Yes.
This stuff it's like crack, you know, like it goes well on everything. I know the main ingredient is like chili pepper, sea salt, citric acid, and dehydrated lime juice. So it's like, yeah, there you go. So it's like tart, right?
I love it. It's very, it's very tart. It's different than other spices.
Yeah. And I remember when I think the first time I had it, I was in LA and there was a cart. The lady was selling mango, pineapple, a couple other fruits. She put it in a bag and then she sprinkled this on it.
Yep.
It like blew my mind. And I'm like, what is that?
That's how I discovered it, same way.
Yeah.
I saw a lady sprinkling it on fruit on a cart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is she doing? And
I've never seen it. I'd never heard of it before. And then now I always keep a little bit in the pantry, and it's great on like popcorn. Phenomenal.
Okay. What's your favorite hot sauce, if I may ask?
Oh man. I'm like depends on the situation kind of guy. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Valentina.
Oh, favorite. Yes. Absolutely.
Cholula's close, but Valentina, I think, I don't know what they do to get the consistency that they get.
It is so good.
And the last place I worked at, which was actually a wood-fired Italian pizzeria, so we cooked everything wood-fired and that kind of thing. But our wings, we used Valentina. And we instead of, you know, your traditional Frank's Red Hot and butter, we did Valentina and butter, and like blows away Frank's.
It's not even the same kind. I agree 100%. That's funny. That is my absolute favorite hot sauce. And everybody,
I think it has more. Yeah, I think it's got more flavor. There's more going on, you know, than.
It's got a nice texture too.
Yeah, it's like that consistency. I don't know.
Correct. Yeah.
But, yeah. So I'm gonna take a picture of mine. I think I gotta screw this up real quick.
Okay. You want to take a picture of this? No, am I?
Why you took, that's my camera.
Oh, better. Okay.
You want me to take a picture?
Yeah, you play better than me.
See if I get that down. There we go. I got like.
Here's my producer.
Producer Eliza?
Elisa.
Thank you for helping Alex. You know, he needs all the help he could get.
Oh, you have no idea. I'm a hot mess, and she's super organized. So it's, you know, it's like.
It's good. I got to yell at him all afternoon. It was perfect.
Perfect.
It was perfect.
I'm glad you helped that situation.
I was like, focus.
I have like ADD. I'm distracted. You know. I'm like, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm looking at Instagram. She's like, what?
Dude, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out to do this. I know, you know, down in Boca, it's a very fast-paced lifestyle, and you're probably super busy with, you know, dealing with, you know, geriatric calls and whatnot. But no, seriously, like, I want to say thank you. And, you know, the past, I don't know how many years it's been, two, maybe even 3 years that you've been helping, you know, contribute to Fork and Hose Company. Like I said, you guys are the reason that it exists. And I just want to say thank you. And please let the people out there know where they could find Alex's food on your social on Instagram, just so that they could follow along, because they definitely will be hungry when they do.
Absolutely. Well, it's right now, it's just my name, Alex Callegari, with the underscore. And I think the best way to find it is to go to Fork and Hose, and we'll post a picture because my last name is a little difficult to spell out.
For the non-Italians out there.
Right, yeah, it's Callegari, and I'm sure we could get that down, you know. But it's actually ALEX, Alex, CALLEGARI _
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like I said, thank you so much. Thank you to National Fire Radio for letting me bring on my friends and cook. I wish we could do this in person with everybody, but just the fact that we could do this, you know, New York to Florida is pretty incredible, and I look forward to doing it again, maybe in person one day.
I'm all for it, man. I think it's going to happen. I'd really, I love the opportunity. You know, if there's anything I could do, I'd fly up there in 2 seconds, man. I got a ton of miles, and
we're just gonna get through this like pandemic thing, maybe, and we'll make it happen.
Come down with the family to South Florida.
Perfect.
You know, we could do something down here, man.
Perfect.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. That's it for us today. Thank you for watching. And as always, stay safe, eat well.